Why did you get into writing books and doing things around networking for students?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story that we're here at Cisco Live. The World of Solutions, where vendors and Cisco has a booth at Cisco Live, it used to be very small.
Okay.
Back in '98, the room, oh my goodness, it was maybe 30 by 50.
Wow.
And Cisco Press was one of the booths. They had 4 books on the table, and they had a placard about this big that said, "Want to write for us, call Jim."
No way. Really?
And Cisco also announced CCNA and CCNP route switch, their first CCNA and CCNP certs at that show. And I'm like, I'd like to not travel so much. Maybe I should write a book. Hey, Jim. And so I got to write the first Cisco cert book.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's just crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy, isn't it?
Well, obviously, the network has evolved quite a bit, and we're seeing a lot of new technologies like ACI, SDN, IOE. What's your thoughts about where the network's going?
Well, there's a lot of change in the networking world, and personally I find it very interesting.
Okay.
I was just in a session talking about how everything's going to be policy-driven. So the same policies we see in ACI in the data center, it's going to be the commonality across the entire breadth of Cisco products of how we communicate to the network what the network should do. And then we'll have different instrumentation in between there that itself will evolve over time because it's not all there yet.
Okay.
So that was an interesting bit of evolution and product future look from Cisco as a whole. But all that means different skill set. We still need to know how the network works, but how we're going to manipulate and control the network is going to change quite a bit over these coming years. So it's a great excitement for me because, hey, we can still use some of the old skills, but there's a lot of new cool stuff to get to learn too.
Okay, cool. So final question.
All right.
Obviously, you read a lot of books, published a lot of stuff. Cisco Learning Network, you've been on it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Done webinars, written on their blogs. What do you feel for the end user, the student? What is the value that you feel the CLN brings?
Oh, there's a lot of things I love about CLN, but probably the biggest one is the connection point.
Okay.
You know, we're here at a show with 25,000-ish people.
Right.
And you can stop in the hall and connect with people. You're at a session, you talk to the expert, you know, learn things from them. But what do you do the rest of the weeks of the year? What do you do before you happen to work at a job where they send you here and spend the money? Well, CLN is the absolute best place to do that. And that's not just saying that because it's a plug. It's wonderful.
Right.
You ask a question there, people almost fight over the chance to answer you. It's really cool. You get questions answered quickly. People form friendships on there online. And it really is a collegial thing where people say, hey, we're all in this together to try to pass the next test and learn the next thing. And it's really neat to see everybody working together like that on CLN.
Okay, final question. Obviously, studying for these topics, it takes a lot of time. Any advice for someone that's starting to get into networking, how they should construct their time and move forward?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I've thought a lot these last few years about how do you construct a study plan. I did some blogging about it even this year. And part of it is I think a lot of people get into it and they don't have a plan at first. They say, whatever my primary study tool is, I'll just start with that. If it's a book, I'll just open and start reading, or video, I'll read the first or watch the first video. And I think if people will slow down just a minute and think about their plan and think about, hey, I need to read, but I need to take practice questions or go spend some time on CLN or do a little more labbing and think about their end-to-end process and don't think about it in terms of I want to finish by a date and then put pressure on themselves and you know, get a little freaky about it. It's like, all right, I know I've got these things to do. And that way with a mapped out plan, you can be a little calmer about it and say, hey, today, what's on my plan? I'm going to do this next. Go do it. And it's kind of like exercise, right? You don't set out to go run a marathon if you can barely run a 5K. You don't, you know, start out and run 20 miles the first day, right? You jog a few miles. It's more that kind of a ramp up until you can do the whole thing.
Ease yourself into it.
Right. So I think if more people took an hour even to plan out their study plan before they got started, it would help a lot.
Great. Favorite thing about Cisco Live?
Favorite thing about Cisco Live? There are so many great things about Cisco Live. Today's favorite thing, filling in holes. You come to the show and you talk to people and you go to sessions and you learn things and you bump into people, and then one person you bump into randomly says something. It's like, oh my goodness, everything just fell into place for this technology. Like at the CCIE party last night, I bumped into a few guys talking about ASR 9000s and Yang models of all things. Not something I live with every day. And it's like, cha-chink, 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 cha-chink. So, you know, things you don't expect that just help complete your understanding of how networking works. And even after I've been doing this a very long time, you know, 30 some odd years. still, it's really cool when those little light bulbs go off over your head and you finally understand something better. You thought you understood it, but now you really understand it. And it's pretty cool.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for your time.
Yeah, man.
Wendell Odom, Dave Major, Cisco Live 2015. Thank you.